Bonjour, my name is Anthony Bozzola. How's your post-Christmas lockdown been? I've personally spent my last few days trying to find out if square eyes are actually a thing and if it is actually possible to start looking like a certain type of food if you eat too much of it. As you can see, my eyes still look like a pair of bloodshot half moons, and I clearly still look nothing like a pack of sour cream Pringles. I did decide to try working out this morning though. I prepared myself a plate of high protein rice cakes with peanut butter, and I set up the workout mat on the floor, all ready for an ab session. I did then, of course, leave the mat there, eat the rice cakes, and binge 6 episodes of Smith's Creek instead, but hey, the thought was there, right? Oh, and I also watched Wonder Woman 1984.
I think that was beautiful.
Wonder Woman 1984 is directed by Patty Jenkins and stars Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, aka Diana, or the other way around. Chris Pine, Kristen Wiig, and Pedro Pascal. The film is set in 1984, shockingly enough, and centers around a strange artifact which shows up at a museum where Diana works that grants people a wish in exchange for something in return. Long and short, this artifact falls into the hands of an ambitious yet out of his fucking mind businessman who wishes the artifact into himself and uses his new power to cause havoc. Oh, and Diana uses the artifact to wish her old boyfriend Steve Trevor from the first film back to life. Oh, and Kristen Wiig's character, Barbara Minerva, also gets her hands on the artifact and wishes to be just like Wonder Woman. We've got a plot. Firstly, the pros. The acting in this film is actually pretty goddamn superb. Pedro Pascal as Max Lord, who is of course the villain of the story, is just incredible. I actually haven't seen Pedro Pascal in much, but I really do want to see him in more because, he's just got this charisma. He's a very cold, chilling villain, but then there's also little scenes where you feel a little sorry for him, like his little relationship with his son, a lot of his delivery. He can be frightening, but also kind of sympathetic. I was very impressed with that. Gal Gadot as well. I gotta be honest, in the first Wonder Woman, I thought she was kind of mediocre as an actor. Kind of annoyed me the way that all the Amazons around her all had to pretend to be Israeli because the only accent that she can do is her own. But she's really improved in this. She seems a lot more confident on screen. Her presence has just improved sevenfold. Yeah, I must say I was really impressed with that. You probably don't need me to tell you this if you know the budget of the film, but yeah, the effects are great. There's a fight scene quite early on that takes place in a shopping mall that it's a shame they showed a lot of it in the trailers, but it really is as entertaining as you may think. And it does set the film up really nicely and give it that atmosphere, which is another thing I'd like to touch on because when I heard that it was set in the 80s, I thought, oh, here we fucking go. Another Stranger Things rip-off where, they just use the fact it's set in the 80s as a gimmick. They really don't push it too hard. I've got to be honest, it actually does feel like it takes place in a different time to where we are now, but they don't overdo it. There's a really funny scene in it involving Steve Trevor's new wardrobe, which, it takes place, I don't know, maybe an hour into the film, but it's quick and it is actually quite hilarious. I got to be honest, I laughed at a number of scenes in this film, and yeah, they don't really overdo it with the setting. The film doesn't jump around too much either, which was another good thing. I find that a lot of these DC films that come out, they can't seem to hold still for 5 minutes. Like, obviously, Justice League was an unfocused mess, and I'm actually not convinced that the recut is going to make it any better. That's another debate for another day. But this film is quite grounded. It moves at a reasonable pace. It's about 2.5 hours long, so it's pretty long, but it really doesn't feel that length. I've got to be honest, I wasn't bored. I was happy to sit through the whole thing. So, that's an accomplishment in itself because some of these superhero films, they can feel a little bloated. Unfortunately, like with most things, with the good also comes the bad, and this film is no exception. One thing I will say is that the opening scene, although impressive visually, is completely pointless. It goes back to when Diana slash Wonder Woman was a child living on Amazon Island or whatever it was called, where she takes place in a race where she cheats to win and she kind of gets scolded by her elders for that. With the idea being that you shouldn't take shortcuts. That theme is actually never brought up again in the film. So it just felt a little bit pointless. Like it was like they put it there when they wanted to do something with it, but then they changed their mind. I'm going to go back to Kristen Wiig's character here of Barbara Minerva, and I'm not going to turn this into some big Christian Wiig bashing session. I know she's talented, but she just doesn't do it for me personally. But her character felt very shoehorned in. She basically plays this scientist that works in the same office as Diana, and she manages to get her hands on the stone, as mentioned previously, and she basically wishes to be like Wonder Woman. which is fine when you say it out loud, but she really doesn't show any of those powers to a very large extent until the film is around half over. And she doesn't have any encounters with Wonder Woman until the film is about three-quarters of the way through. And then when they finally do meet and they have this big epic fight, it's kind of not very big and it's kind of not very epic. I was a little disappointed by that. It just really felt like she was there to give Wonder Woman somebody to fight, not necessarily because she needed to be there as an important part of the story. Guys, as well, don't worry, I'm not going to go into any direct spoilers here. It's a spoiler-free review, but what I will say is that the whole stone being inside the guy and him being able to grant people's wishes and he wished for the stone to be in him does open up some pretty serious plot holes, and they're very, very easy to see. And I personally felt that at times it made the film a little bit hard to fully invest in. As previously mentioned before, I do think that Pedro Pascal as Max Lord was absolutely superb, but Jesus Christ, the comparisons between him and Donald Trump were so goddamn on the nose that I think it might be broken. Yeah, gotta be honest, as I said, I found it a little bit cheap, and it was just the kind of concept that I maybe would even go as far as saying I have a little bit of a problem with. The idea that one greedy, shady billionaire is responsible for all the bad shit that people do and all the awful choices they make, rather than the idea that despite the greedy, shady billionaire in question, some people are in fact just fucking awful, and personal accountability should never fully stop being a thing. I just think that that concept is really cheap, and I think it's a little bit lazy, and I think that somebody that's capable of writing a story that's a little bit more nuanced should probably tackle that next time. Just my opinion. Gotta say though, overall, I think the good outweighed the bad. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it overall. Don't get me wrong, as I said, the opening sequence ended up being completely pointless. The plot wishing thing had some massive holes in it, and the end fight was basically Goldar from the Power Rangers bouncing off a piece of leftover CGI from the Cats film. But there was still a lot to like in there. The characters were likable. The effects were great. The setting was cool. Gal Gadot was amazing. Pedro Pascal was amazing. Kristen Wiig was in it. Chris Pine, he was pretty good. There were some very funny scenes as well. And yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to the future of the franchise. I think overall, I would give Wonder Woman 1984 a 7 out of 10. 7. Just going to take a quick one, guys, to say thank you very much for watching. I hope everybody had a great Christmas and a great New Year. This is the first film review that I've done on this channel. If you liked it, if you have any feedback, if you'd like to see more, do let me know. Just going to be getting back into video making now in the new year. So hopefully see all you guys very soon. Take care and peace.